welcome to our Monday Minute. Today, I'd like to share a bit of insight into the release of the OASIS-E Guidance Manual that just occurred in the last couple of weeks. The OASIS-E implementation is set to begin January 1st of 2023. We have expected for a couple of years, at least initially, that it would not be implemented until after the public health emergency had officially ended. However, in 2022, they changed their mind, and it will, or in 2021, I should say, and it will be officially implemented January 1st of 2023. The OASIS-E manual released a couple of weeks ago includes a very detailed manual, 396 pages to be exact, and similar, of course, to the format of the OASIS guidance manuals that we have always seen. The OASIS-E manual has a chapter 3, of course, that gives you the details of each and every one of the OASIS items, tips and tricks about how to answer those items, and some very specific guidance as to how that item should be approached and in assessing the patient. With those, you've moved through the manual to chapter or to Appendix D, I should say, which is the appendix that will give you detailed descriptions of changes, including a chart to show things that have changed from OASIS D1 to now OASIS-E. This includes significant changes, things such as entire sections of the OASIS being added to the OASIS document, items that are now going to be deleted, completely removed, that won't exist at all, that have been on OASIS D1 in the past. We also have ones that will remain, that will be changed as far as the timing at which you will complete them. For example, in the wound section, there are multiple questions that will no longer be completed at follow-up or at the point of recertification of a patient. There are numerous items that have had text changes made to them. In other words, they've either changed the language of the question or they've changed the instruction related to the question in chapter 3. And that has happened with many, many items in the GG section and the J section, which have just been added to OASIS-D, OASIS-D1 in the last few years as a result of us moving toward having a more post-acute friendly OASIS, or I should say clinical assessment document, where the goal is to eventually be able to calculate outcomes across the post-acute care continuum. It is extremely important. I seriously cannot emphasize strongly enough how important it is that here we are midway through the year, believe it or not, in June, just having received this manual instruction for implementation 6 months from now to one of the largest changes to OASIS documentation that has occurred since its implementation in 1999. If you have not already decided where your agency's education is going to come from, what the plan is to get your staff educated, you need to begin that immediately. There are state associations and national association education sessions happening across the nation now, and then will continue through the end of the year. My deep concern is that agencies are going to wait until October, November, December to begin the education that is going to be needed for this implementation January 1st. This change waits for no one. And I say that to emphasize the reality that we have 6 months, and that might seem like a long time. It is not a long time. Within the content of this minute today, I will include a link to this new manual release, and I urge you strongly to search for OASIS-E education sessions, again, that have already begun to take place across the nation. The entities that provide OASIS certification exams have already given us a long list of dates. State associations have education scheduled as early as next week. Most of the annual conferences will have OASIS-E education. It absolutely is imperative that you come up with a plan and you come up with that plan quickly. Please remember and keep in mind that the OASIS is not just a clinical assessment. It is that for sure, and it is going to help drive the care of the patient, of course. But in addition to that, it obviously impacts your outcome calculations, your star ratings, your payment in the form of the PDGM HIPS code, which exclusively uses the OASIS to calculate the functional portion of that PDGM calculation. And lastly, many of these items will impact the value-based purchasing nationwide rollout that is also set to begin January 1st of 2023. I really encourage you. I know I've said that multiple times already, and I hope you heed the warning. OASIS-E education needs to begin and needs to begin today. Thank you all for participating. And please let me know if you need any assistance in determining where you might obtain that education. And do please click on that link within the content of this minute and go ahead and start the preparations by getting those manuals in the hands of at least your education and QA teams at this point. Have a fabulous week, and I hope to see you at a live conference this summer.